Collin Sexton was the first player drafted in the second post-LeBron era in Cleveland, and despite showing linear improvement through his first three NBA seasons, it was a debate among NBA fans and analysts about just how good he actually was, as despite reaching 24 points per game on pretty respectable efficiency in year 3, the Cavs were among the worst teams in the NBA. And it was a question about if Sexton could make a real impact as a high-usage scorer-first guard that was pretty small for his position. He dealt with injuries in year 4, which allowed Darius Garland to establish himself as the primary guard on the team, as he was just as good of a scorer, but a significantly better playmaker. And that summer, Sexton was traded to the Utah Jazz in the Donovan Mitchell trade. While Sexton averaged a career low in points per game, he also was the most efficient version of himself during his first season with the Jazz, showing he can at least be a sixth man, and this season, he's been playing the best basketball of his NBA career, even if the numbers don't suggest it. But quickly, before we go any further, if you're new and like basketball, I'd really appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I'm notified whenever I release a video. I make videos about basketball all the time, and liking and subscribing are the two best ways can help me out in the YouTube algorithm, help support the channel, and help me reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the season. Let's try and get 100 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend it to others. Anyways, let's talk about Collin Sexton. This season, Collin Sexton is averaging 16.5 points per game, 2.6 rebounds per game, and 3.9 assists per game on 48.3, 35.7, 89.3 splits, a 61.22 shooting percentage, and 23.5 minutes per game. However, these numbers don't tell the full story about how good he's been this season, as his play recently has been trending upward. Over his last 18 games, he's been the starting guard for the Utah Jazz, and he's averaging 21.5 points per game, 2.6 rebounds per game, and 4.8 assists per game on 51.4, 39, 90.5 splits, and a 64.22 shooting percentage in 27.2 minutes per game. And on top of that, the Jazz have a 14-4 record when Collin Sexton is the starter. And overall, when you watch him play, it's really something that suggests that he can make a real impact even as a smaller guard. Let's start with the one area that any small guard needs to be an effective NBA player: rim pressure. In the 18 games Sexton has been starting, he's shooting 77% at the rim on 4.3 attempts per game. On top of that, he's also averaging 5.8 free throw attempts per game during this stretch. He's one of the fastest players in the NBA with and without the basketball in his hands. He combines that with unreal bursting quickness, good strength for his size, a relentless motor, and pretty good explosion as an athlete. And that's a formula for a highly effective rim pressure threat in the NBA for somebody that is, again, a smaller guard. Sexton has always been one of the best guard athletes in the NBA. He's been a solid rim pressure threat really since his second NBA season, but he's taken it to another level this season. Among shooting guards, he's in the 90th percentile in terms of rim efficiency this season, and that number likely will only go up based off the way he's trending. Rim pressure can be a great foundation for your offensive game, and for Collin Sexton, he has the skills that complement his rim pressure very well. Sexton has been a good three-point shooter this season, and honestly for his career, he's not an awful shooter. He's a career near 38% on 4 3-point attempts per game. And this season, he's shooting 35.7% on 3.8 attempts per game, but in the 18 games as a starter, he's shooting 39% on 4.3 attempts per game. But what's really been encouraging has been the off-ball shooting, as he's shooting 51% on 2.7 catch and shoot attempts per game from beyond the arc. His display of on and off-ball versatility has been encouraging, especially considering it was a question with him throughout his career. Can he be effective scoring off the ball? And the answer this season has been a resounding yes. I believe his off-ball scoring, particularly from 3, has raised his value as a player. It allows him to fit well next to an offensive creator, and being able to fit next to a focal point offensive creator is very important for Sexton given his archetype. The other area Sexton has shown a lot of improvement has been his playmaking. On the season, he's averaging 3.9 assists per game to 1.8 turnovers per game, which given the minutes that he's playing overall on the season, that's pretty good. But in the 18 games as a starter, he's averaging 4.8 assists per game to 1.7 turnovers per game, which is still pretty impressive considering despite being a starter, he's also only playing 27 minutes per game. Now, I don't think it's something that suggests that Sexton has full-time primary playmaking upside. He does create advantage for others, his decision making has gotten better, so I do think he can handle those reps, but I do think a lot of his playmaking has been more of in-the-flow passing situations as the result of plays. But regardless, even if he's a connecting playmaker, it is a valuable skill set, especially with his growth as an off-ball player, and I would say this has raised his value even more than his off-ball scoring ability. He's still a score-first player, but he's proving that he's more than just a scorer, and he can be a positive impact playmaker as well. What I've noticed this season with Collin Sexton is that he's answering the 2 biggest questions that people have had about him. Can he be effective off the ball? Can he bring an impact as a playmaker? And the answer this season to both of those questions is yes. These were the 2 swing factors for Sexton becoming potentially a high impact NBA player, and the results this season have proven that he can be a high impact player as a starter. Since inserting Sexton into the starting lineup, the Jazz have gone 14-4. They were 7-16 prior to Sexton becoming a starter. Sexton is showing that he can be great as an on-ball scorer and incredible rim pressure threat, but he's not just a scorer now. He can play off the ball as a catch-and-shoot player. He can be a connecting playmaker that handles a few primary reps, which has raised his value a ton, and to me, it makes him an underrated trade target. A lot of teams could use a player like this, an athletic guard that can shoot from 3, play on and off the ball, and be a connecting playmaker is someone that can be a 3rd or 4th starter or a 6th man on a really good team. But at the same time, I don't know if the Jazz are going to trade him or any of the potential trade targets on that roster, especially with how great the results have been since he was put in the starting lineup. Sexton is somebody that I've been a big fan of for years now, dating back to before the NBA, and I've been rooting for him to prove a lot of people wrong throughout his NBA career. And it's very clear that Sexton now isn't the empty stats player people viewed him as. The narrative around him as a player, as someone that can't impact winning basketball and can't be a good player on a good team, is dead. The improvements that he's made are ones I believe are sustainable long term. And the results with him as a starter, from a production standpoint, from an efficiency standpoint, from an impact on winning standpoint, it all suggests that he can be a good player on a good team, because since becoming the starter, he's made the Jazz a good team, and I think he's someone that can be very valuable as a starter on contenders for a very long time, and that was a question with him for a while, and he's finally answering it. But that's the end of this video. If you made it to this point, thank you so much. Again, haven't already, like, subscribe, hit notification bell, notified whenever I release a video. I make videos about basketball all the time, and liking and subscribing are the 2 best ways that can help me out in the YouTube algorithm, help support the channel, and I'm going to reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of the season. Let's try and get 100 likes on this video so YouTube will recommend it to others. Let me know what you think about Collin Sexton in the comment section below. How good do you think he's been? Who do you think should potentially even try and trade for him? or anything like that, I'll leave all that down below. But with that being said, have a nice day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.